Thinking of buying a lake place? Get ready to open up a whole new can of worms. Hey everyone, welcome to Minneapolis Living. I'm Nick Sundahl with Acta Homes of Keller Williams Classic Realty Northwest. Before I get into the things you need to know before buying that lake property, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. When you're there, ring the bell so you're alerted every time I upload new content each week. Hey, we're the land of 10,000 lakes, and we have more lakeshore property or waterfront property than the state of California, if you can believe that. So living on lakes is very popular here in Minnesota, and well, whether you want to own or occupy that property or you want it as a second property, a vacation home, there are some things you definitely need to know, and one of which is what kind of lake do you want to live on? This is what you must figure out first, because if your realtor is going to send you listings of new properties and the lake actually doesn't work for you, then what's the point of even looking at the property, let alone putting an offer on it? And there are really two types of lakes that you can look for. One is a natural environment lake. These are smaller lakes. They are naturally occurring, but a lot of people think that they're ponds. They're less than 150 acres, and they are typically less than 15 feet deep, which means you typically have restrictions on the motorized vehicles that you can put on those lakes, and they're not usually great for swimming because there's a lot of fertilizer runoff, which can affect the growth in the lake, the muck, as well as winter kill for fish in the spring. So if you want just something that's peaceful and you want to look on the lake and you don't really want to actually use the lake, this would be perfect for you. However, more people want to either fish or water ski or a swimming lake or have some level of beach, and these are your general development lakes, and they typically run more than 150 acres as well as more than 15 feet deep, so you don't get that winter kill from your fishing population. But making sure what kind of lake you want to live on first is the first step in buying that property. Now, I know those of you who live in more outstate or greater Minnesota, if you will, are very familiar with wells and septic systems. Well, for those of us who live here in the Twin Cities or even in the 13 Metro County area, we are more used to city water and city sewer. So if you're going to go buy that lake property, you want to take a look to whether you're hooked up to city water or city sewer, and more often than not, you will be tapping into a well. And while that can be a little different, it really isn't that much different in terms of getting your water. There is maintenance to your well and your well pump, but you do have cost savings when it comes to buying from the city. So there is a trade-off. Now, when it comes to septic, you do also have to have that pumped on at least a yearly basis, if not multiple times a year, depending on the size, but you aren't going to be connected to city sewer. So having a well and septic system also equals another inspection when going to purchase that property. And that inspection is going to do a water test. It's going to make sure that the septic system is in good shape and you don't have any issues in terms of leaking and or it's certified in terms of size. So those are a couple things you want to make sure you look for, and that when you go through the inspection period, that is something that's nice and clean before you move in. Now, if you're considering buying a lake property, I would love it if you reached out. You can call, text, email, hit me up on social media, but I would love to start the conversation. I'd love to show you a little bit of properties that are out there now. Now, for the final thing, it is a big all-encompassing topic, and it's the additional costs of buying a lake property, and more specifically, a vacation home. For those of you looking for a vacation home, know that if it's not owner-occupied, your taxes are going to be higher because it's non-homesteaded. If you plan on renting this property out, you're going to have higher insurance premiums because you need more liability insurance for people that are going to be renting from you. And if you happen to be in a floodplain, well, that's additional insurance. Now, you can buy flood insurance whether it's private or through the FEMA network, but regardless, you want to make sure that you're on the right floodplain or get a survey done to make sure you are, because flood insurance can be almost astronomical. which can really ultimately hurt the value of the property. So these are keys to be looking at that property to make sure that your costs, and this doesn't even go into explaining what it costs to furnish the whole property or buying a boat. I'm talking about the costs that go with just owning the property itself. And that can be a wide swath of dollars and things that you have to pay for that you're not used to paying in your landlocked property. Whether you want to live on a lake or just use it for vacation, a lake property can be a ton of fun, but it's also a lot of responsibility. This is Minneapolis Living. I really appreciate you watching. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.